What is up? What is going on? My name is Arvind Ramkrishna. Welcome to Driven to Draw. And today we're not going to be drawing actually any sports cars or anything car related at all. As I had kind of discussed before, Driven to Draw is really about trying to create and get out of your comfort zone, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing here on this demonstration. One of the things that I've always found fascinating is just the level of excitement that we get when we watch sports. I think everybody here probably has a particular a sports or an activity that they like to watch. Some people like football, some people like tennis, some people like basketball. Well, I chose a very unusual sport because one, I don't even watch it very often at all. But in 2011, there was the Cricket World Cup that was going to be making actual history if India had actually won. And some of you, if you don't know, I am originally from India, but I was brought up in the United States. And the cricket match was being shown. I actually drove over to Indiana where my parents live, and I decided to watch the match over in the dorm. Well, I won't say the dorm rooms, but there was a student organization, the Indian Students Organization, that was hosting the match, and it was a huge match. Here we were going to be playing Sri Lanka. We have not won a World Cup for over 2 decades, so it was a really important match. So it just kind of got me thinking about how we get excited about this stuff. And one of the challenges that I've always had is creating moments like this, capturing moments in history, and really appreciating the excitement and capturing that history on a page. So that's what I decided to do here. I mean, it's unusual, one, because like I said before, it's out of my comfort zone. I don't typically do it, but I also wanted to do it to sort of prove some of my own techniques. The things that I teach people is something that I also practice and I also follow. It's not just something that, oh, well, it's easy for you to say because you've been drawing cars for so long, but it's really about taking things that I'm not comfortable with and trying my own techniques on them, and that's what this is about. And that's what we're going to be going through here. Is that I'm going to be taking some snapshots of these epic moments after the victory of Tendulkar was holding the flag, the Indian flag, after the match was over and India had won. And these were just some special moments. They were just really wonderful moments, and I wanted to be able to just capture those moments. So as I start to draw, this is actually real time. Oh, and by the way, I hate to say it, if I sound really different, it's because I've got an infection, but I just had to do this anyway. So if I sound odd, it's because my throat is really messed up, but you see just level of dedication that I have to all of you, so hopefully you won't mind it so much now that you know. So what I'm doing here is that I'm doing just like I do with any other drawing, is that I start to set up some of my construction lines, and I do have a photo reference, by the way. This is not from memory, no way, not for me, not for things that I'm especially uncomfortable with. But what I'm trying to do is that I'm looking at the picture, and when I look at the picture, I start to just identify all these dark areas, these areas of high contrast, and how can I just sort of break those things down into tiny little shapes and forms and things like that. This is really just an exercise of how I look at the picture and then relate the various different angles and the positioning of these shapes, and that's all I'm really doing. I don't want to say that's all I'm really doing. In concept, that's kind of how I'm doing it, but it's obviously it's taken me some time to develop this patterning effect, and then to start to replicate what it is that I'm seeing on the paper. Now, no doubt about it, drawing people is tough. It's definitely tough for me. That's why I always say this is sort of out of my comfort zone. And believe it or not, I mean, I used to draw people a lot, especially when I was younger, before I even got into design school and working on my industrial design degree and stuff. But as soon as, of course, as I started school, you don't really have time to go in and say, except for some of the classes that I took my freshman year with just taking regular art classes and things. I just didn't have enough time to really focus on it. And actually, it wasn't until later after I graduated that I started to go back and say, I kind of like to learn some of this stuff a little bit better and maybe learn a little bit more about anatomy. And still, I would say I haven't really completed the job. I like anything, things take time, and you choose the things that you want to learn first, and then you decide to go back. Okay, I've kind of conquered this part, or at least I've gotten to a stage that I like, and now I want to go back and learn some of the things I didn't get a chance to learn. So these are all part of those things that I'm trying to practice, is to practice some of the techniques, not only the techniques that I'm teaching you, but also applying that to some of the things that I'm not used to even drawing. And then sort of combining the things that I learn. And, I read books just like any of you guys. I go out and I look at videos, and I buy a lot of reference material, and I look at things and I figure out, well, how do I integrate this to the things that I'm already learning? And I will say that as a person that's been drawing for a while, it does get easier. That as you start to feel your stride, and you've got that maturity in your strokes and how you draw and how you lay that line down on the paper and how you construct things, that helps. And that's going to help your progress, and it's going to help how quickly you're able to implement certain things. I remember seeing a friend of mine that was working in our studio, and he's now a Hot Wheels designer, but when I first looked at his stuff, he had a lot of difficulty drawing interiors and drawing just concepts for the interiors and things like that. But I noticed that within like a month or so of being, or a couple months of being on the job, man, he was putting out some stuff that was pretty fantastic. So you can develop things very quickly. I mean, as long as you know your fundamentals and you know how to approach the problem, then you can implement things very, very quickly. Now, as I'm drawing the flag here, this is the Indian flag, and what's happening is that even the speed at which that I draw these lines, the speed or the stroke of the shape of the flag, there's a motion of the flag that you want to capture. So that top curve that you see just above the shadow that you're seeing as I start to put in the graphic here for the wheel and stuff. But all through that area, I'm still intending to capture a little bit of that motion and the fluidity of the flag. And then once again, I'm just darkening up areas where you have the high contrast. And I'm drawing with this marker, and marker is a very scary thing, isn't it? Right? I mean, you can't do anything. You can't erase. If you mess up, you mess up. And I think that's another part of the challenge for me, that I enjoy using it for something that I was so afraid of. I was so afraid to work with markers quite some time ago. And the reason was, it's just that I couldn't erase. I couldn't do anything with it. But I have a little I have a little story again to tell you about that as well. Well, how I got rid of that fear was that I ended up perfecting some of the techniques on pencil, and I got it to a point where it was easy for me to draw on pencil. And then once I drew them, even though I didn't erase, but there's something about having the lighter lines and things like that. And then when I switched back to markers, it was a different feel, but I didn't feel as intimidated for some reason. So then I just kept practicing in marker, And then pretty soon I just didn't care. I didn't care if I made a mistake or not. It just didn't matter to me. So as a result, I would just stick to the main principle of just looking at things like graphics and looking at people and objects that I know as just shapes and objects, and I would just make sure that I had looked at them as that. And as long as I was just looking at the core shapes, it didn't matter whether I was using a marker or a pencil or a pen or whatever it was. In fact, it got a lot easier for me to do things in markers because I could take the thick and the thin part of the marker tip, and I could create all these shapes very quickly, and I couldn't do that with the pencil. So anyway, this is it. This is me trying to capture a very epic pose or an epic moment, a sports moment, and I hope this is kind of informative to you, and we'll see you next time. Remember, keep practicing. I believe that you guys and gals can do this. And if you have any other questions, just let me know and just comment below. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
So if you're enjoying all the content you're seeing so far and you want to learn more about creativity, being creative, then be sure to subscribe. Subscribe. Take it. Learn. Create. Click on it. Subscribe. Do it. Now. Click on it. Click. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe. I tried. Subscribe.